So Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are right around the corner, and we've had quite a few new Pokemon announced leading up to the game's release. And the thing that's been on my mind the most with every new announcement we get is how good could these new Pokemon be in competitive? Because you guys know me, I'm a big competitive boy. That's my jam. So I decided to make this video going through all the new Pokemon we know about so far that have been revealed, and I will be ranking them in a little tier list based on how good I think they could be competitively. So this is just going off of what information has been officially announced about these Pokemon, which isn't a ton to go off of, but I figured I just like speculating and doing the sort of Theorymon stuff leading up to a new generation, because it's very exciting. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy the video, and let's just jump right into it. Let us discuss. So first up over here is we have Fidough, who is a fairy type, and that's about all we have to go off of. He's the dog Pokemon. A lot of the time they are kind of have a lot of similarities. They're normally physical attackers. Sometimes they can be pretty speedy, but not all the time. And sometimes they've been a little inconsistent, a little lackluster. The thing that comes to my mind, immediately is like Bolton. We got last gen Sword and Shield. It was pretty underwhelming, kind of had a lot of missed potential, but then again, there is also the potential that Pokemon like this could be quite good. For example, Lycanroc is probably the best, dog Pokemon that we've had that fits into that mold. Fast, strong, and all around pretty good Pokemon. And this thing being fairy type is very, very promising indeed, because fairy's probably like the best type in the game, right? So that by itself already gives this guy quite a lot of promise. The abilities that it had weren't anything to write home about really, but I think I'm gonna be optimistic. I'm gonna be hopeful this thing is gonna be Lycanroc-esque, I guess. And if that's the case, with fairy typing, I think this guy could actually be quite good. So I think I'll put him like here, thinking. Assuming as long as this guy can hit some play roughs, I'm actually pretty hopeful that he can be pretty good. So what I'm not hopeful for is this guy, big boy. So he Cetitan. He's a pure ice type. He's got Thick Fat and Slush Rush for his abilities, which are pretty good abilities, all things considered. Actually quite good, especially for an ice type. However, the reason I'm not really jacked up about this dude is because just going off of the description they gave him, and just his overall design, he seems like he's going to be a very slow boy, and slow ice types are very not good because ice has a ton of weaknesses, and if you're just going to get outsped and just hit for super effective, then you're not going to be doing much. It's not going to be very useful if you're just going to be taking hits and not be able to do much in return. You could say he gets Slush Rush, and Slush Rush, he'll have double speed and hail, which is true, but that can only do so much. Like if you think of a Pokemon like Beartic, right? Beartic also has Slush Rush and Swift Swim, but he's so slow that it really doesn't matter that much, that he has those abilities, because even with those abilities active, he's still slower than most fast guys, like in the higher tiers, and most choice scarf users for that matter. And when you're using abilities like Swift Swim or Slush Rush or Sand Rush or whatever, kind of like the whole point of it is you want to be faster than like the most common fast Pokemon, you know, and Scarfers especially, because you don't want to just like, you know, set up for sweep and then the other guy brings out his Scarfmon and then he just kills you. So even with Slush Rush, if he's very slow, that's not going to make much of a difference. And I don't think Thick Fat's going to help much either, because that only gets rid of one of his weaknesses, which is useful, but it's like not enough, especially because you know, the big problem with Ice defensively isn't just that it has so many weaknesses, but that it doesn't resist anything. All it resists is itself, other ice types, and you know, Thick Fat's not going to give him more resistances. It's just going to make him take less from ice type attacks than he would have already. So yeah, I'm really not thinking this dude's gonna be it. I'm probably gonna put him like here. If the one thing, if this, okay, two things that he needs to be good. He needs to be not slow as balls. He needs to have like base 70 speed minimum to be viable with Slush Rush, and he needs to have some coverage like Earthquake. If he has those things, like this dude goes up like here or here, like then he's gonna be crazy. But I feel like they're not gonna give him that. I feel like they're gonna screw him over, as Game Freak loves to do with its ice types, you know, because instead of making them good, just have wasted potential. So I'm afraid I feel like that's gonna be the case with this boy as well. Sad times. It's rough being an ice type, isn't it? Alright, next let's do this guy. Actually, we can do all these guys together, really, because I think they're going to be bad. I'll just say now. All these dudes, they just give off, like, you know, early game Route 1 Pokemon vibes, and that, you know, early game Pokemon tend to not be very good. Now, I could be wrong about that. You know, maybe I'm sleeping, because there are some early game Pokemon that turn out to be very, very good and competitive. You know, you got stuff like Corviknight and Talonflame and Diggersby, who are quite good in competitive, actually. So maybe some of these guys do have potential, but going off what we have, I don't have much reason to believe that. All our abilities are pretty mid. I mean, Piggy guy, Lechonk, he gets Gluttony, which could be interesting, but it's not super useful. And, you know, typings aren't very crazy either, especially Smoliv over here. Grass Normal sounds like a terrible type. That sounds atrocious. You know, he doesn't look like he's doing much work either, you know, so I think, you know, I don't think these guys have a lot going on for them, if I'm being real. Probably just be mediocre early game Pokemon that end up falling off and just being in the lower tiers, where they are hardly ever used, which is unfortunate. But it is what it is. Next, let's do the starters. Why not? The starters. So, we don't know much about these guys. They haven't said much, Game Freak. All they've really said is like, hey, they're starters. They're, you know, Grass, Fire, Water. They got the normal starter abilities. That's pretty much it. They haven't announced their evolutions. So we really don't have any idea what to expect. So for that reason, I'm just going to put them all together. And I'm going to put them like over here. And just on the basis that starter Pokemon are normally pretty good. Not amazing, but like solid. They usually have pretty good stat distribution, although sometimes they get a little screwed over, but like at least stat total wise, they're normally pretty good. You know, they have solid typings, you know, just off rip. I mean, Grass, I guess not as much, but still. And they do like to give the starters as of recent little juice, little special spice to mix them up, make them iconic and unique. So they always have that going for them. So yeah, I think starters are generally pretty solid. So I'll just lump them all here. I don't think that all of them are actually going to be equally viable. Because it is usually the case that like one of the starters is usually kind of worse than the others. Think of guys like Meganium or Sceptile or like Samurott, Delphox, etc. So I definitely don't think all three of these dudes are going to be like super viable, but again, we don't have much to go off of, so I don't know which one of these will be the run to the litter, as it were. So I'm just gonna put them all together for now, and yeah, hopefully they're decent. Next up, my boy Paldean Wooper, Whoopie Poopy Scoopy Whoop. This dude looks freaking brazy. He looks sick. Ground poison with water absorb is very, very good. First of all, just having an immunity at all, and an immunity to a type you would normally be weak to, for that matter, is just great for any Pokemon for obvious reasons. But also the thing, like, when you take out the water weakness, ground poison actually is not bad defensively. Like, you have some pretty useful resistances, right? You resist fighting, fairy, you're immune to electric, obviously, because he's part ground, and you have the water immunity on top of that. Like, this dude's typing and ability let him wall so many guys, especially some really good guys that are like very commonly seen in competitive, stuff like Tapu Koko, Tapu Fini, Rotom Wash, Urshifu Rapid, all those guys, like, this dude can take him on just with his typing alone. He doesn't really care that much. Assuming this thing evolves into like Quagsire, because it is Wooper. I mean, I guess they could give it like a new like regional evolution or something, but just assuming that it becomes Quagsire, like ground poison Quagsire with a water immunity, and like all the normal stuff he gets, like recover, like curse, earthquake, scald. If he still gets scald, which isn't out of the picture, like I think this dude's gonna be very good. I think he has a lot of promise. I'm excited to use him. I think he's gonna kind of be like Galarian Slowking in the way that like Galarian Slowking was like has very unique typing with Poison Psychic, and its typing lets it wall some key guys in the metagame that gives it a very strong place and role that not a lot of other Pokemon can fill. And it's also like a similar concept where it's like you taking a Pokemon that's normally like a bulky water type and like mixing it up, same thing like with Slowbro and Quagsire, or Slowking rather, and it sort of gives it new function and utility, and I think that's really cool. So yeah, Pooper Wooper I think he's gonna do the thing. I'm very excited to use him. Next, let's do this boy, Klawf. So people were chirping about this guy because his ability is kind of cracked, quite literally. Because it's basically, if you don't know, it's like a built-in Shell Smash. It's like weak armor, because you know how weak armor is, like you get hit and then drops your defense but raises your speed. It's like that, but instead of just defense and speed, it's just a Shell Smash boost, basically. Well, not exactly like a Shell Smash boost, because if I remember correctly, in the screenshots they showed, it says attack, special attack, and speed only get raised by 1 stage, rather than 2, as you normally would with Shell Smash. So that is, I guess it is a little bit weaker in that regard. But it's also like, it's a built-in Shell Smash for free, which is pretty good, obviously. Even if it is, you know, a weaker Shell Smash, it's still like, you get it for free just for your ability. And, you know, if you look at this guy, he's a crab. A lot of crab Pokemon get Shell Smash as a move, so it's not unlikely that, like, you can give him Shell Smash, and then it's like, you know, I think the strategy everyone had the idea for when they announced him was like, you give him a Focus Sash, you go for Shell Smash, you get your boosts up, they hit you, live with your Sash, and then you get another boost because of your ability, and then you just like set the sweep, which does sound pretty crazy. However, I'm not convinced this guy is going to be all that. Mainly because he has the same issue I think Cetitan's going to have, in that I feel like this dude's going to be way too slow. Even if that like Focus Sash Shell Smash scenario I just described does turn out to be the case, I feel like this dude's speed is going to be so bad that even at +3 he's not going to be outspeeding like the really crucial things you want to outspeed, like I said earlier, Choice Scarf Mons. So that is a bit of an issue. And on top of that, this dude is pure rock, which rock type moves tend to be not very accurate. You know, you think of like Stone Edge, Rock Slide, even Rock Throw, which is like supposed to be the weaker version, is still not 100% accurate. So that kind of presents an issue for any Pokemon that wants to sweep when like your main like form of stab is a little inconsistent, because it's like you can set up the sweep, but if you missed, and it's like, well, so much for that, right? So all that considered, this guy just seems like kind of an upgraded Crustle to me, which is not saying much, because Crustle's not a very good Pokemon. However, I do think he's got enough interesting that I'll put him in C, because I think he could do something. Like if he gets Earthquake as a coverage move, then that could be pretty good, because you got the combination of Earthquake plus Stone Edge. It gives you great coverage, able to hit a lot of stuff, for super effective. And you know, maybe the Shell Smash strat could work out, although I feel like that is it's going to be a little inconsistent and kind of a cheese strat, but I guess we'll see. Anyways, moving on to Grafaiai, Funny Monkey. So this dude's interesting. Dude's very interesting. First of all, he's normal poison, which is a brand new type we've never had before, which is always fun to see. I don't think normal poison's a great typing, if I'm being honest. I mean, I guess defensively it's not bad, because I mean, like, it's basically like you're trading the fighting resist you normally have with poison, and in exchange you get immunity to ghost, which I guess is something. But really, I think this type really struggles offensively, because you know, you really have nothing to hit steel types, which is always a bit of an issue, and a lot of Pokemon do get screwed over just because they can't break through defensive steel types. However, this guy does have some stuff going for it. He has Unburden for his ability, which Unburden is always quite good. Anything that just makes your Pokemon faster is always a plus. And the thing that jumps out to me, what he could do with Unburden is they're probably going to give this guy Fake Out, and you could do like normal gem Fake Out, turn 1, you get a nice strong Fake Out off the bat, that you have Unburden, and then you can potentially do something from there. So there is that possibility. So I do think he has some potential going for him. The main thing I'm hoping for with him is they give him some sort of coverage, mainly to hit steel types, because I think that's the biggest issue with him. Which I think it is possible, because I feel like they do tend to give a lot of the monkey Pokemon fighting coverage. So I don't think that's too far-fetched to throw out there. If he does get something like close combat, then I think he could have potential. Trying to be optimistic here, and I think he's cool, he's unique, and I think if they do him right, he could have a little niche, possibly in the lower tiers. He could be pretty cool. I think they just give him what he needs. So here's hoping. But anyways, this boy, Cyclizar, a little weird guy. Normal dragon, interesting. We've had that before. It's not especially great, but I guess it's not horrible. I mean, dragon type's pretty good. Here's the main thing with this guy. It's got me thinking. Is as you can see here, kind of there's a bit of a resemblance to these two, doesn't he? Don't you think? So, I think my assumption, and I think a lot of other people's assumption, is that this dude is like, he's definitely connected to the Boxarts somehow. I think the most obvious guess would be that he's pre-evolution, which isn't like out of the realm of possibility, because you already had legendaries evolving from other mons in like Sun and Moon with Cosmog. So it is entirely possible that this could be like the pre-evo, and then he branches out to whichever legendary you have for the game you picked. So that is quite interesting, and I think the main thing that gives him something that stands out is the fact that if he is a pre-evolution, he could probably hold a Violite, which obviously is always a nice thing to have. And if he does evolve into a legendary, then it's possible that his stats are already pretty solid. Of course, that's not necessarily the case, because again, back to the Cosmog example, Cosmog's stats are booty cheeks. So maybe this dude's stats aren't all that crazy, but I'm hopeful that they will be at least somewhat decent. And with a Violite, they could do something. Honestly, I think he's got quite a bit of potential there. Also, when they announced him, they showed off a new move, which I'm assuming is going to be his signature move, which is Shed Tail, which is basically, if you didn't know, it's like Substitute and Baton Pass at the same time. Basically, you make a sub, and then you immediately switch out, and you pass the sub to another Pokemon on your team, which is a pretty good move, honestly. Like, that's kind of nuts. Because obviously, like, at least currently in like singles, Baton Pass is banned, because it's pretty broken. It's been banned for some time, but having a built-in, like, being able to pass Substitute to another Pokemon is a pretty cool gimmick for a new move, which I kind of dig. So I think I'm gonna put him up here, just for the reason that his type's not all that, and I'm still a bit suspect about what his stats are gonna end up being like. But I think he's definitely interesting. I'm excited to see what people end up doing with him. Let's talk about these boys. Let's talk about these friggin' busted guys looking. Freaking, what are they doing? All right, so these are the cool guys. I have no idea what these guys are even like supposed to be. They look freaking crazy. Like, I don't know, are they gonna be legendaries? Are they like gonna have some special role in the story? Who are these guys? I don't even know. They look like freaking Mega Man characters, but they look freaking insane, dude. I mean, just like, we don't know the stats yet, but like, just going off their design, they look freaking cracked, bro. I mean, you look at these dudes and like, there's no way these dudes could possibly be bad. I just can't see it. And going off what they announced, it does seem like they're gonna be pretty good. So these two, Armarouge and Ceruledge is their name. Armarouge is Fire Psychic, Ceruledge is Fire Ghost. Now those are some pretty, I mean, Fire Psychic's not crazy, but Fire Ghost is crazy. Fire Ghost is super, super good. Those are two very good offensive typings at the same time, and there's not a lot that can switch into both of them. So that's pretty nutty. And I believe both of them get Flash Fire, if I'm not mistaken, which is always a good ability to have. Again, having any sort of immunity, even if these guys would resist it normally, taking no damage as opposed to taking a little damage is still a big deal. And of course, you can potentially boost up your fire stab with that if you get hit by a fire move, which is always nice. Speaking of fire moves, these guys get signature fire moves that look pretty crazy, pretty good. So Armarouge gets a I forget what it's called, but it's basically like special fire type close combat, because it says that it lowers your defenses, so I'm assuming it's gonna be like the same, like around the same power as close combat, right? Very, very strong, because you know, if you're gonna have a downside like dropping stats, then generally the move's gonna have like high power, because you know, what's the point of giving it like a downside? It's not even a strong move, right? So pretty safe to say it's gonna be a strong attack, which, like, I mean, having defenses lowered isn't the worst thing in the world. Honestly, depending on this dude's stat spread, you could just like probably throw a choice scarf on him and just like spam that, especially if you get the flash fire boost, dude. Forget it. You just clicking that every day, dude. Throw this dude on sun, stop, is done, dude. It's over. Crazy. But this guy's signature move is basically fire type leech life, which is also crazy. Again, we don't know quite how strong it is, but I'm assuming it's gonna be about leech life's power, which is 80, or maybe it'll be like drain punch and 75, something like that, something around there. But I mean, just having a stab move that can heal you is always pretty good. And if you look at this guy, I mean, you look at him, he's got a lot of swords, so I'm pretty sure he's gonna get Swords Dance. And you know, the big downside to you know, healing moves is they're generally not very strong. But if you can just boost up your stats, then like it doesn't matter, because like, you know, after a Swords Dance, you're at +2. It's probably going to be doing some pretty good damage and still healing you. So it's like that is pretty wild, honestly. And looking at these two, I think just off this guy's typing, I think he has more potential to be busted than Armarouge. Just because Fire Ghost is freaking nuts, dude. All they have to do to make this dude busted is give him a good physical ghost move, because there aren't a lot of those out there, which is a bit unfortunate. But you know, you got stuff like Shadow Claw, which is not great, but you know, it's not terrible. I mean, Shadow Claw is like, it's not a very strong move. 70 power is kind of eh. So they just need to give him some strong ghost stab. If they give this dude Poltergeist, I think he's like going like up here, dude. That'd be insane. But outside of that, I think I still think he's gonna be very good. Both these dudes are definitely, there's no shot they're not good. Like, just look at them. Like, they have to be at least solid. There's no way they're gonna make these dudes bad. No shot. But yeah, moving on, we have Wiglett, not Diglett. Don't get them confused. They're two different things, even though they look and sound the same. But whatever Game Freak says, I guess. He's a water type. That's basically all we have to go off of. Water types are normally pretty good. So for lack of anything else to say about him, I'm just gonna put him here and say he's probably gonna be okay. Because you know, water is a pretty good type, and that's all we have to go off of. So, yeah, there's Wiglett. Next up, we have this dude, Farigiraf. I hate that name. It's very, very stupid. But you know, Girafarig evolution, that's pretty cool. Still normal psychic, which is not a fantastic type. I mean, I guess it's decent defensively because they only have 2 weaknesses, but again, same problem as Grafaiai, which is that key can't hit steel types with your stab, which is unfortunate. However, the interesting thing about this guy is the abilities he gets. His abilities are quite interesting. So one of them, I don't remember the name exactly, but one of them basically makes him immune to priority, which is cool, I guess. You know, we already kind of have that with a Serena who gets Queenly Majesty, and Bruxious who gets Dazzling, which both do the same thing. I mean, I guess that's cool. I feel like if they wanted to make this guy like really good, they could have just given him Psychic Terrain, because like Psychic Terrain also gets rid of the priority, but also it's gonna boost his psychic moves. So I feel like that could have been cooler, but oh well. I guess it's still something. And then the other ability that I think is really interesting is Cud Chew, which is basically if you're holding a berry and you eat it, whatever effect the berry gives, you get it twice, which is kind of nutty. I'll be real. Having like double citrus and just healing like half is nuts. Or you could have like a boosting berry. You could have like Papaya Berry that raises special attack, so then you get like 2 special attack boosts for free. That seems kind of nice, dude. I'm not gonna lie, seems pretty good. Kind of crazy. However, I do think while it sounds cool, I think the main issue with it does seem kind of situational and a little bit gimmicky. You know, I feel like that's a strat that'd be a little inconsistent and you know, not something to rely on. Because the thing, like, what I think about is like, you know, the idea of like, you know, the psychic type, I can get a ton of boosts. Like, that sounds cool on paper, but like, you think of Pokemon like Swoobat, which is essentially the same concept, because it's psychic type, but it has simple, so we can do like double boosted Calm Minds and stuff. That sounds pretty cool on paper, but Swoobat isn't very good. So I don't know if this guy is going to be very good. However, I will be optimistic and put him probably right here. Hopefully he'll be somewhat decent. I mean, if this thing's an evolution of Girafarig, then hopefully it has pretty good stats. Also, I just realized that means you can have a Violite Girafarig, which I guess is something. I still feel like he's not very good, but yeah, if they just give him, he has good stats and something to hit steel types, which I'm pretty sure Girafarig gets Earthquake normally for some reason. So if he has that still, then, you know, maybe this guy, you know, maybe he could do something, you know, maybe he could be something. Actually, the more I think about it, I think I'm gonna put Klawf down here with Cetitan. I think, I don't know, he just seems a little too gimmicky. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be very good. But oh well. Next, Bellibolt. Funny guy. So this dude looks promising. For one main reason, which is ability that looks pretty insane. I'll be real. His ability is basically his electric attacks become stronger when he's hit by a move, which is sounds pretty good. So it's kind of like charge, except it activates automatically if they hit you, and without the special defense boost you get from charge. And I did show in the screenshots they released that. Presumably it's going to be any move, right? Because I think the one they showed, the example is like Aqua Tail. So it's not going to be something like Flash Fire where it's like, you know, get boosted but only when you hit by a fire move or whatever. No, just like anytime you hit this dude, his stab becomes stronger, which is kind of crazy. I mean, just like going off his design, he seems like he's going to be a pretty bulky Pokemon, so definitely be able to take the hits and you know, just, I mean, that's just kind of weak, like crazy to me. Just the idea that, like, you know, you're in a sense punished for hitting this Pokemon because it makes him stronger. Like that just seems really good, dude. Like, I don't know, like, it's kind of a cracked ability. I think the only thing keeping this guy back from being like too nasty would be like, one, I'm pretty sure he's not gonna be that fast, which is like, oh well. I mean, it's whatever. I mean, you know, usually you want your electric types to be fast, but it doesn't have to be strictly, because I mean, electric is still pretty decent defensive typing, because you have good resistances like flying, especially is the main one. And I guess like other electric types, steel, and of course you only have one weakness, which is, you know, not bad for any type defensively. So there is that. But I also think, you know, the main nerf to this guy is the fact that, you know, obviously ground is immune to electric, so there are Pokemon who will be able to switch in to, you know, his stab pretty much risk free, and not have to worry about it no matter how strong it gets. It's probably a good thing, because if they gave that ability to a type of mon that doesn't have anything immune to it, like flying or like God forbid fairy, that's probably be broken straight up. But, you know, having the ground types there to counter him probably make sure he's not too crazy. But I mean, I don't know, he is a frog, so I mean, maybe, you know, frogs live in the water. Could he get a water move? I don't know. Maybe the ground types aren't that safe, but I guess we'll have to see. It also depends on what his stats are. They're like how good they could be, but I don't know. Just his ability sounds really good, so I'm just gonna put him up there just off of that. You know who doesn't have a good ability? This guy, Greavard, I think is his name. Greavard, how do you say it? He gets pickup, but is not useful at all. He's a ghost type, which ghost types are pretty good normally. However, going back to the Fidough example, as we talked about before, generally, because I'm assuming this dude's gonna evolve too, you know, along with Fidough. You know, dog type Pokemon, it's not an actual type. Dog looking Pokemon, whatever. They tend to be physical in their final evolution. And as we discussed earlier with Ceruledge, physical ghost types can kind of struggle if they don't have good stab. You know, I mean, I look at this dude, it doesn't look like, I mean, maybe he can get Shadow Claw, I don't know, it probably wouldn't be that good either way. But yeah, I mean, just the fact that he probably is going to be a physical ghost type doesn't give me a lot of reason to be excited because like physical ghost types are not typically the best. Generally, the best ghost types are special because they can just click Shadow Ball. But I don't know. Maybe it will be good. Maybe if they make this dude not slow, give him good speed, and they give him Poltergeist, then I would put him like up here, honestly. Because if he can just like, if he's just like, you know, fast dog, they can just spam stab Poltergeist. That would be like kind of insane because Poltergeist is a very strong move. It's a very spammable. Ghost types in general, ghost moves are very spammable. So if they just give him good ghost moves, then he could do something. But I'm a little doubtful about if they will do that for him. So I'm gonna put him down here because I don't know. I think he's kind of not much to get excited about as far as viability. And then we got this boy, Gimmighoul. Cool little guy. Probably not gonna be very good if I'm being honest. That's the vibe I'm getting. Cause like, just like he's by the looks of him, he's chilling out in the chest, right? So I mean, he has two forms. He has one like outside the chest and one inside the chest. The way they described it made it sound like you can't catch the one outside the chest because they said like if you try to walk up to it, he just runs away. So I don't know if you'll be able to use the form outside the chest in battle, but I mean even if you can, I feel like that form is probably not gonna be very good because he's just a little guy hanging out. So I feel like his stats probably gonna be pretty mediocre, but. As far as the one inside the chest, you know, I would assume that would mean he's pretty bulky, right? You know, he's got the chest, you know, he's nice and protected. So my guess is he'd be defensive, which defensive ghost types not the best traditionally. I mean, yeah, 2 immunities, which is cool. Not a ton of resistances, honestly, but like, you know. Like ghost types really shine when they're very strong and they can just click their strong ghost moves. That's when ghost types are at their best, and I feel like being defensive is not generally very helpful for ghost types a lot of the time because you know, I feel like it's hard for any defensive Pokemon that's weak to knock off, right? Because like if you're gonna take hella damage just by getting knocked off, which is probably gonna be pretty likely, especially if you know you're a mon that wants to soak up hits. I feel like that's a pretty big downside, honestly. I think the one thing he's got going for him is he might evolve, which if that's the case, you could run a Violate on him, and then he could be pretty tanky, probably. But like, even then, I'm still not sure that'll help out much, because again, it's like, well, if you just get knocked off, then like, then what? Because you took all that damage, and then you don't even have a Violate anymore. So it's like, what are you gonna do? You know, that's the reason like other defensive ghost types like Dusclops and stuff fell off hard, just because like knockoffs rough, man. Like, what are you gonna do? So that's unfortunate for him, but yeah, probably not gonna be great if I'm being honest. And then, last but not least, I know you guys saw them down there. I know you guys are looking at them. Of course. Where else could they be? But right up there. So obviously, you know, these guys are going to be busted. Of course they're going to be busted. The Boxart Legendaries. Boxart Legendaries are always busted. That's like the point of them. You know, they just got to have insane stats. They really haven't said anything about these guys yet. Like Game Freak, they just kind of like, we don't even know the types, their ability, or what. They just kind of showed them off like, hey, Boxart Legends, whoa, cool. But like, honestly, that's just enough. That's pretty much enough to go off of, because, you know, I doubt they're gonna be anything less than good, because, you know, when you have stats so high, it's kind of hard to mess them up, you know. they kind of have to be good at that point. Did say earlier that, like, you know, this guy might evolve into them, which if he's a dragon type, it's possible they'll also be dragon types, which would be pretty good. Dragon types are strong, especially if they have really high stats, probably be very strong. But that's about it. We can't really compare them much because, like, we don't know what the main differences between them will be. So I'll just put them together. But yeah, obviously they're gonna be chilling up in Ubers, having a good time. So yeah, I think that's that. So looking at the list, there is, you know, there is a little some to be desired down here, but I think they also have shown off some very interesting Pokemon that have a lot of potential. So I'm very excited to see how good they end up being when new games come out. And when new games do come out, you best believe I'm gonna be there day one, playing these games, hopping on the ladder, grind. Like, as soon as Showdown updates for the new gen, the new Mons, I am there, bro, and I will stay there, and I'm gonna be playing that all day. And you better believe I'm gonna be making some nice content out of that. I'm gonna be streaming, it's gonna be videos, it's gonna be a fun time. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss all that good competitive stuff. I'm telling you guys, if you guys don't know, the start of a new gen is always the most fun part. It's gonna be crazy. We're not gonna know what to expect, but that's the fun part. We get to find out. So stay tuned. Yeah, Scarlet and Violet very soon. Hope you guys are excited. I'm very excited. Yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.